21 miles wide. 20 million barrels a day. How can one narrow waterway move prices worldwide? The Strait of Hormuz does not need to close to cost you money. It only needs the world to believe it might. At its narrowest, the Strait of Hormuz is only 21 miles wide, barely enough space for two parallel shipping lanes, each just about 2 nautical miles across. Yet through this slim corridor, a large share of energy shipments squeeze through every day. On a typical morning, more than 80 massive tankers and gas carriers thread these lanes, carrying nearly 20 million barrels of oil, about 1 out of every 5 barrels traded worldwide. That's energy bound for the power plants of Japan, the refineries of Europe, the trucks of India, and the gas stations of the United States. The scale is staggering. A single day's flow through Hormuz matches the daily oil consumption of the entire United States. Every vessel must follow strict navigation rules, transmit its position, and often wait for a pilot from Iran or Oman to guide it through. There's no shortcut, no alternate sea route with the same capacity or speed. The geometry itself is the vulnerability, a global energy lifeline pressed into a bottleneck just over 20 miles wide and less than 100 meters deep. In 6 minutes, you'll see how a choke point becomes inflation. Markets don't need a full shutdown, they just need uncertainty. The moment risk rises in the Strait of Hormuz, a hidden cost appears, what traders call the risk premium. Insurers and brokers react instantly, tacking on a war risk surcharge to every barrel loaded for export. This is not a theoretical fee. During periods of tension, the premium jumps to anywhere from 40 to 80 cents per barrel. At the high end, that is an extra $10 million every single day, just to cover the possibility that something might go wrong. This invisible tax lands on insurance contracts, freight bills, and the fine print of every shipping agreement crossing the Gulf. Even if not a single drop of oil is blocked, the fear alone triggers a cascade of costs. Tanker owners pay more to protect their hulls. Charterers pass the expense up the chain. Refineries factor it into their bids, and by the time oil arrives at a gas station or power plant, the surcharge has woven itself into the price. Multiply a 50-cent premium by the 20 million barrels that squeeze through Hormuz each day, and the numbers swell fast. It is a cost that never appears on a receipt, but it is real. An invisible tax paid by everyone who fills a tank or flips a light switch. In the world of global energy, uncertainty is expensive, and Hormuz is where that bill starts. Normal traffic through the Strait of Hormuz moves like clockwork, about 138 ships a day, each on a tight schedule. But when risk premiums spike, the flow jams up. Tankers slow down, waiting for clearance or new insurance terms. Queues build at anchorage zones, sometimes with dozens of vessels idling for hours or even days. Emergency surcharges appear on freight invoices, and operators scramble to reroute cargoes around the Cape of Good Hope, adding weeks to delivery times. Every hour we're delayed, costs stack up. Fuel, crew, lost cargo slots. The knock-on effect is visible in port congestion from Rotterdam to Singapore. What starts as a small risk fee quickly becomes a domino chain of delays, detours, and mounting bills. But here is the twist. The biggest shock is not the closure. It is the belief that it could close. That belief alone can spike prices. Traders watching the Strait of Hormuz do not wait for tankers to stop. They move the market at the first whiff of risk. In the days before any barrels are blocked, the forward premium on Gulf crude can widen by more than $1 per barrel, just on the chance of trouble ahead. This is pure psychology, sentiment driving up costs before a single ship is turned away. The fear of disruption becomes its own fuel, setting off a chain reaction that starts in the trading pits and spreads through every link in the energy supply chain. A spike in Gulf crude prices sets off a chain reaction. Refineries face higher input costs and adjust their margins, sometimes by as much as $4 a barrel in Asia during periods of turmoil. That extra cost flows straight into gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, raising the price of every mile driven or flown. As energy becomes more expensive, shipping and logistics costs climb, feeding into the price of groceries, electronics, and everyday goods. In March 2026, the European Central Bank cited persistent upward pressure on energy prices linked to Hormuz when it raised rates by 0.25 percentage points. An economist says, when energy costs spike, inflation follows, and central banks have to act. Each link in this chain, from crude to refinery to fuel to inflation to interest rates, shows how a choke point in the Gulf can ripple into household budgets half a world away. Every day, 1/5 of global oil still funnels through this narrow passage. As long as the world trades on risk, uncertainty at one choke point can shape prices everywhere. What would redundancy really cost?